Hello everybody, my name is Colt, this is Gone Hollow Minis, and welcome back to another Tarnished Tuesday. This is, of course, the series where we are working through the Elden Ring the Board Game miniatures, painting them up and getting them ready to hit the tabletop. Today we are working on the Prophet and the Bandit, the last two of the playable characters from the Weeping Peninsula box set. Also worth noting is that there is an identical miniature of the Prophet in the Realm of the Grafted King core box. So if you're coming back to this video after we've already moved on to that box, hi, welcome and how's it going? After we've already started with the Grey Prime, we're going to start with the Prophet first. Most of the material on this miniature is the robe, so we're going to go ahead and start there. This is Vallejo Ochre Brown, and I'm going to use this in thinned layers to give a nice even base coat over all of the robed areas. This appears a little bit brighter and a little bit more pastel on camera than it is in person. It is a little bit brighter than I wanted it to be, but that's something that we can fix later. If nothing else, starting from a bit of a brighter color gives us more chances to make our weathering more impactful. And I would like to take this moment here to apologize for the big unsightly purple blob that's on my fingers. That was from a bit of test painting for next week's video, and I just didn't have time to get rid of it before I started filming this one. But anyway, now we're moving on to starting to shade and weather our fabrics. This is Army Painter Brigandine Brown, thin to a wash consistency. I wanted to use this instead of a regular transparent wash because it leaves more pigment on the higher areas of our sculpt. Running this into the recesses and shadows not only tones down our bright yellow fabric, but also starts to build up the weathering and dirt and grime effects that we want. But now to start working up into our highlights, I'm going to mix a little bit of Vallejo Iraq Sand into my Ochre Brown. Not only will this lighten our midtones, it'll also keep it nice and desaturated so we don't end up going too bright again. You'll also notice that I'm not applying this as a traditional layer. Instead of nice smooth lines, I'm applying a ton of scratchy hash marks. The robes that the Prophet wears in the concept art are very rough spun and weathered, so applying our highlights like this will help to reinforce that effect. For the last highlight layer, I just mix a little bit more Iraq Sand into my Ochre Brown. Just make sure to keep things nice and thin so your lines don't end up being a little bit too chalky. Focus those brighter layers on the edges and upper folds of the fabric and you'll have a really nice, really weathered, really realistic looking fabric texture. And now we're on to the wooden details. We've already gone over this a couple times before, but hey, we might as well go over it again. This base coat is Vallejo Chocolate Brown, a nice slightly warm medium brown tone. I apply this to all the wooden details and leather bits across both the Prophet and the Bandit. After that, I apply an all-over shade of Vallejo Dark Skin Tone to all of the wooden and leather areas. Using an all-over wash here is a really great way to highlight all of the smaller sculpted details that we probably wouldn't be picking out by hand. So mainly this is the Prophet's staff, their shield, the little wooden neck plank collar thing, as well as the leather bits on the Bandit, namely the shoes, the sleeves, and the little vest thing. After that, I mix a little bit of Rakarth Flesh into my Chocolate Brown for a highlight tone. Usually I use Iraq Sand and Ochre Brown for these highlights, but since I've already used those on the Prophet's robe, I want to make sure that these areas stand out a little bit more. Alrighty, now we're on to the skin details. Luckily on these two miniatures, there aren't too many of those. I'm going to start with a mix of Army Painter Agate Skin and Scale 75 African Shadow. This will be my base and kind of shadow tone, and the desaturated purple that we add makes a really nice, really realistic looking base to work up from. Layering up from here is just a matter of adding a little bit more agate skin to our original mix. Then for the final layer, I use a little bit of Vallejo Skin base for just the finest and brightest points. But now we've just got a few more detail colors to pick out. In particular, it's the gray and white details, like the Prophet's blindfold and belt and the Bandit's pants, and the black details, like the Bandit's vest and all of their hair. Both the gray and white details were based in Army Painter Deep Gray. Then for the lighter areas, I just layered up with Vallejo Sky Gray. For the gray areas, like the Bandit's pants, I went ahead and gave it a wash of Rattling Grime before working back up into Army Painter Deep Gray, and then mixing in a little bit of Sky Gray for the final highlights. The black areas were highlighted with, of course, black. And then from there I highlighted up with Vallejo German Grey, and then Pro Acryl Black Blue. After that, there are just a few more details to take care of. For further information on those, check out the previous episodes in this series, and these miniatures were done. With these two minis completed, we are finally through all of the playable characters in the Weeping Peninsula Expansion. Painting the playable characters in your board games makes the whole experience a whole lot more immersive, so I definitely recommend you try it out. And now there's just one more mini that we have to paint for this expansion, and that'll be next week's video, the Leonine Misbegotten. Stay tuned for that, and subscribe and turn notifications on so you don't miss it. Like the video if you enjoyed, drop a comment if you have any questions, and until next time friends, be safe, be kind, and don't you dare go hollow.